All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Hope everyone's having a good night. We'll get started here in a minute once we get some people on. Hope you guys are ready for your test tomorrow. Whoop, whoop. I will put up something for you guys to look at. You guys are gonna do great. Well, just as a reminder, today is review day, so I will be answering your questions and not sitting here and lecturing for 3 hours. So I will talk about stuff. I know there are some things that maybe different schools of psychology that you guys might be a little bit nervous about, but I will talk about those when you want me to, if you ask. Wahahaha. You have so many questions, but you are not even home. Okay, Mispa. I mean, because you're not home, does that mean you can't ask them, or how is that working? I mean, if you're not home, you can still ask questions. I mean, I'm okay with it. You might want to run it by Akash, though. He does not seem happy today. Poor Akash. What schools of psychology? The different viewpoints that we talked about for therapy, and then excuse me, the different viewpoints for measuring personality. Yes, Nora, it is also over personality. What were the concepts that you told us that we were responsible for? Can someone text them in the chat? Yeah, there was like one or two things that we needed to go over. Well, I hope you don't get fired for it, Gabriel. Now, if you didn't tell your employer that you were here instead of at work, nor. How do they not make? All right, I'll go over them. Do you have an FRQ? No FRQs. We ain't got time for that noise. We're gonna have to spend quite a bit of time practicing FRQs. We have not done as much practice as I would have wanted. So. John Tanner. Still don't know who you are. When did you send me an email? Let me check my email. I may have gotten it. Respond? Oh, I just got it. I didn't check my email. No! Eileen, you're not feeling well. I'm so sorry. No! Devastating. Well, of course you won't be able to take the test. You won't be here. I think probably after school tomorrow or after school Tuesday would be easiest, Aileen. That'll probably be the best. I'm so sorry you're not feeling well. Well, I'm glad you're feeling a little bit better today. Dude, Carl Rogers is the man. I agree with you, Janelle. All right. No. Oh, Gabriel, you're sick too? Devastating. Devastating. What were the two things we were responsible for? I forgot. Nor. You were responsible for your fourth period, so you're responsible for humanistic and psychoanalytical schools for therapy. I got you, Janelle. You're gonna do great things with that info. All right. So I need some more specifics. I'm not just going to ramble through all the different schools of psychology. I need some more specific questions. Do you want me to talk about them in therapy, or do you want me to talk about them for how they regard personality? Both? Either or? One? What do you guys need? I'm here. Oh, Arian, now that you are here, I am glad to report that today for dinner I had a salad. Yes, it was not very exciting, but I had a salad. So I thought you'd want to know that that's what I ate. So always, Janelle, always. What do I need to know about the different schools of psychology? All the things, Akash. All the things. We can go over anything you guys want. All right. Well, I'm gonna stop dancing around. I think we got enough people. Salads are edible. I mean, they're all right, but they're not like great. All right. So let's go back. Let's see. Do I have it in here? No. Okay. Let's do. Oh, did I not? Oh no, that's fine. Okay. Okay. Let's get all these different schools, different therapies together. Teddy, come on. Come on. And Teddy wants to say hello. I'll put up my grading. Yes, thank you, Teddy. Teddy's had a good day today. We went for a bike ride and a couple bike rides actually, but went to the park today and we were there for about an hour and a half. So we had a good time. I'm not gonna go right now. I'm gonna go in a little bit. Okay. I'm just opening up all these different tabs, guys, for the different schools of psychology. So I'm letting you look at Teddy while we do that. Boop 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 boop. Hey, buddy. Yeah, I know. Hello. So that was a little low. All right. Yes. It's nice outside. Oh my gosh, it's been great. Okay, I can do that, Nor. I can do that. Teddy's great at reviewing stuff. He is. Hey, bud. Have you not gotten enough attention recently? I think he needs the extra attention. Okay. All right. Well, Eliza, that was the correct response. Maggie, I call into question your respect and deference for my wisdom for Teddy's cuteness. All right, we good? Later, bud. All right. He's gone. Okay, so let's do it, guys. Okay, we're gonna just run through these pretty quickly. Most of these are pretty simple to go through. Okay, so let's start with the personality trait theory therapies, which I am 100% sure that most of you have totally forgotten, but you're going to be fine. I'm going to tell you what you need to know. Simply put, it's starting with this Gordon Allport guy, and he's basically saying that our personalities are based on traits like just like who we are is determined by these traits. He's got like 3 different kinds: the cardinal, the central, the secondary traits. You don't really need to know about that. You just need to we really just kind of skip through a lot of these guys, Allport and Cattell, because Cattell put down that there were like 16 different personality factors, or these factors or traits were aspects of your personality. There's a bunch of them, and so you would take these tests, and it would show you like on a scale like how much of this trait that you have, and that was going to kind of like defer your personality. So you get this big questionnaire, and it's how rules conscientious you are, how dominant you are, blah 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 blah. So um, Hans Eisnick's going to take this and he's going to break it down. He's going to be like, okay, listen, like there's too many of these, like this is kind of bulky. And so he's going to break it down into three things: introversion versus extroversion, neuroticism, emotional stability, and psychoticism, blah, 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 blah. Okay. You don't even need to worry about that. This is what you need to worry about. You need to know the 5-factor model, the big 5. Okay. So this is like, just know these. Know what these are. There are questions. I've seen questions on the AP exam about like here are 4. Give me the other one, or which of these is not one of the big 5. And there may be one on the test that's like that. So you just need to know these. I also on the AP exam, they had you explain one of them. I don't remember. I think it was agreeableness or something like that. So just make sure that you know these. They're real simple. I don't think I need to explain them. Extroversion, are people who are extroverted. They get their energy from spending time with people, versus people who are introverted who get energy from kind of being on their own and recharging their batteries, which is a big time for Mr. Monk. Weekends, spend time alone, take naps, all that. Oh my gosh, I slept so well this weekend. I took a 3-hour nap yesterday. Glorious. Okay. Openness to experience is just how willing you are to try new things. Agreeableness, how nice of a person you are, how altruistic, like how willing you are to do things for other people, how much you think about other people. Conscientiousness, and then neuroticism, how stable or unstable you are. So make sure that you know these 5. This is your big one. So when we're talking about like trait theories, this is the one that pops up the most. Okay, I'm just hopping back, making sure no one has any questions. Okay, cool. So of the traits, or of the, what am I thinking? From the trait theories, this is what you need to know. Make sure you know this, please. Okay. Also know the the names that go with that: Eisnick, Cattell, and then you can probably get away with forgetting Alport. But no, Hans Eisnick, and what's his name? Cattell. Eisnick and Cattell. They came together and made the 5-factor. Okay. It's like they came together, and Eisnick was like, we only need 3, and Cattell was like, we need 16. All right, we'll settle on 5. Okay, so next, the psychodynamic. All right, so real quick, you've seen these 2 words, psychodynamic versus psychoanalytical, and I just want to clear the air one more time with this. Psychoanalytical was Freud's baby. Like that's like the psychoanalytical school of psychology was from Sigmund Freud. He created it. It's talking about the unconscious and sexual drives and all of that stuff. And the psychodynamic theory of personality is what has evolved from Sigmund Freud's stuff. So the people that followed behind Sigmund Freud, people like Erickson, Jung, Horney, all of these psychologists took these ideas and were like, well, some of this stuff's pretty good, but we're going to need to change a lot of it because, sex isn't like the only thing. So they call them the Neo Freudians. So here they talk about some of their major disagreements with Sigmund Freud. Freud's emphasis on sexual urges as a primary motivator. Sigmund Freud believed that, go back to the psychosexual stages. What is wrong with humans today? Like if you've got an issue right now, Sigmund Freud believed that he could trace it back to the first 10, 12, 13 years of your life. And he believed those 10, 12 years, actually your entire life was driven by these sexual urges. And the Neo-Freudians are like, or the psychodynamic psychologists are like, well, maybe not so much. So Yeah, Freud thought that humans were terrible. It's fine. Freud's belief that personality was shaped entirely by early childhood experiences. This is big. Number one's big. Number three is big. And then number four kind of talks back to number one and number three. So make sure you know number one and number three. Those are really big. Okay. So then what we have here is each of the major Neo Freudians. We have Carl Jung, we have Alfred Adler, Erickson, and Karen Horney. Okay, I'm going to just quickly run through these people, and these are the main things that you want to remember from them. Okay, so Carl Jung, collective unconscious. Jung believed that we were all like, how do I want to put this? Um, that we all are connected. Our unconsciouses are connected. That they're not just like we do have a singular unconscious mind that is just ours, but we have a collective unconscious that we share with each other. I'm sure a lot of you guys are like remembering this now that I'm talking about it. That that's why certain religions are all so similar. That's why there are so many beliefs that are similar. Is because we are all connected in some way. Okay, so I love Alfred Adler because I like so Freud was just like, okay, the reason why we do the things we do is sex. Bam, that's it. That's the reason. That's the reasoning behind it. That's what's happening. That's why we do the things that we do. And Alfred Adler is like, no, it is our feelings of inferiority. The reason why we do anything is because we feel inferior to someone else. Think about the way that you tackle grades in school. Why do you do that? Well, generally speaking, the reason you do that is because you feel like you are less than somebody else and you are trying to pull yourself out of that. Or we are motivated to do nothing because someone is just so far ahead of us or whatever and so much better than we are, and so we just kind of like crawl into a hole and don't do anything. So Alfred Adler, inferiority complex, big. That's his major like driver. Why we do anything is because we feel inferior to other people. So love that guy. That's, I don't know, it's sometimes a little bit too true uh, if you think about it a little too much. Okay, so Erickson. So remember, we talked about Erickson in development. We were just like, oh, this is a guy that thought that our interactions with other people, and we had those periods in our lives where we had these battles, or we had to strive to become ourselves or whatever. And Erickson was conflicts. That's the word I was trying to remember, that the word conflicts. So we have these like specific conflicts that we attempt to that we have to work through, and it's dependent on the stage of life that we are in. So Erickson believed that it wasn't all about sex, and it wasn't only our early childhood or our childhood that set in stone or set in place our personality. He believed that our personality was developed and molded and changed throughout our entire life. That each of our each stage of our life was just as important as the other. It was just working through a different aspect of our personality. So big things that come from Erickson. One, our childhood is not the only important part of our development. All of our life is all of our years are important, and this idea that our development is dependent on social interactions. It is much less motivated and driven by our by sex. De-emphasize the role of sex as a motivator for behavior. Instead, places a much stronger focus on role of social relationships. Okay, so good stuff. Okay. And then finally, we've got Karen Horney, and we're kind of putting Karen Horney into the warrior for women's rights. She's going to step in and just be like, all right, well, Sigmund Freud, you're like super sexist, so let me just show you how it works from a female perspective. And she spent a lot of time kind of like rewriting and working through to kind of give Freud's work a less sexist curve or definition or whatever. Or how he portrayed it was much less sexist. So, okay, I've been yammering at you for a little bit with that one. I need some thumbs up or some preach it, brother, or something from the bullpen in here. How are you guys feeling? We good? Any questions about what I've talked about so far? Just been dropping some knowledge on you hoodlums. What do we got? Any questions so far? Janelle's good. Yeah. Arian's good. We good as heck. Good. Here is here. Awesome. All right. Just remember, stellar. Yeah, Bobia. I appreciate that. Can you give some sample questions you would have on that stuff? Yeah, I can give that right now. I had some in the wings I was going to give to you at the end. Let me see if I can pull these up. Okay, here we go. It might be. Okay. Yeah, Alien, I can. Let me ask a question. So here, okay. So this one, I have to say it out loud. It's long, and I've got a book that I'm using. So, let me hide this so no one's peeking. So I have a book that's got some questions on here. So that's what I'm going to read. So Stan is the youngest in a very competitive family. As a result, Stan often does not get attention or succeed in family activities. Stan's classmates have noticed that he strives to win at all classroom activities to make himself feel superior to his classmates, which Neo Freudian would state that Stan's competitiveness is in response to his childhood experience. Okay, Stan's classmates have noticed that he strives to win at all classroom activities to make himself feel superior to his classmates, which Neo Freudian would state that Stan's competitiveness is in response to his childhood experience. Bam! Adler. Yes. Good. Okay, yeah, here we go. Well, okay, I'm looking at this question. It says the big 5 traits are conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism, and blank, but you don't have the thing in front of you or the multiple choice in front of you. But just know that might come up. Okay. That's more. Okay. These questions are a lot. There's a lot more on. A lot of these questions are on. Oh yes, openness to experience. Good job, guys. Yep. Okay. So that might be some questions from there. Guys, just know the people, know some of their stuff. You might get like a question might come across. This Neo-Freudian was really against Sigmund Freud and the idea that sex was the main driver for development. He also disagreed with the idea that childhood was the most important aspect of our personality. What Neo-Freudian am I referring to? No. You won't need to know specifics. Yeah, you won't need to know specifics for Erickson. Good, guys. Good. Yeah, that's for development. You will need. Yeah, your boy Erickson. Maggie knows what she's about. Okay. So good. Okay. Okay. Who had? Yes. Okay. So, Aileen, simply put, psyche is your id, your ego, and your superego. So, have a question for that. Okay, I'll ask this in just a second. Okay, so let's take a step. I have two questions from this, and I'll ask them as I go. So to take a step back, remember it is developed first. It is part of our unconscious mind. And it is all about the pleasure principle. I want it now, I get it now, instant gratification, but I'm also going to avoid any and all punishment or bad stuff. And like I said, it's the first thing that's developed. Then after that is developed, you have the ego, and remember the ego works on the reality principle, and it's the part that is like pulled by your id, and then it is also pulled by your super ego, and it's trying to have you make the decisions that work best in our reality. So, and then on the other side we have the superego, and the superego is trying to get you to do all the nice things. Now, all the nice things are super great, but sometimes it's not in our best interest to do, and so our ego kind of pulls us back in and says, all right, well, we don't have time for that. Okay, so two questions that would stem from this. Okay, a baby cries hysterically when he or she can't reach a toy, not stopping until immediate gratification is given by his or her caregiver. Freud would suggest that this child's immediate gratification is based on the, and then can you also go over the behavioral, humanistic, and social? Yeah. I'll get there, Bhavya. I'll get there. So that would be a question like the baby crying hysterically. It's a little simple. Yeah. Easy. Yep. Good. But more specifically, it'd be also talking about like the pleasure principle. Okay, cool. So I think we're good with that. I'll come back and ask some of these questions later. Let me just mark off the ones I've asked, so don't ask those again. Where are you? Okay, cool. Okay, so let's jump back to the. Okay, so we've done Neo Freudians. Okay, humanistic perspective. Okay, so what do I care about? You don't. Okay, so when we're talking about the humanistic perspective, you don't really need to worry about Kelly. As I said before, I've never seen him on a test, so I'm just going to kind of like give him a pass. I don't think that you're going to see him. You won't see him on my test, so that's all you need to really worry about. Okay. Let me think. Okay, so when we are looking at the humanistic perspective, and this bleeds into our understanding of how do I want to say this? This bleeds into our therapy as well, and it is this idea that human beings are constantly striving and looking to be their best self, and that's the entire idea behind the humanistic theory, is trying to help people, specifically on the therapy side, trying to help them reach that actualization. Okay, but um, but yeah, that's all, guys. That's all that humanistic psychology is about. Like our personality is our struggle to get to the best that we can be. And so you run into people that are better equipped and do a better job of achieving that goal, and some people who really just don't do a great job. Some people get really beaten down and don't pursue it as much as they had before. All that jazz. And then you get Maslow, and he puts in that Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You don't need to know the different stages and levels for this test, but just recognize that is, a driving force for a person's personality. Like if you have a person that is in constant need of fighting for survival, where food and safety is not something that they get on a constant basis, they're not going to have the time to pursue kindness, or pursue, or like become a person that cares about other people, because they just don't have time to do that. They have to survive on their own. And so Maslow is stipulating that um, our pursuit of that self-actualization dictates our personality. If you are a person that just doesn't have the resources to survive, like and be able to pursue other things, then you're going to spend all your time doing that, and you're not going to progress, and so it's going to affect who you are as a person. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, I hope that makes sense to you guys. Okay, if that doesn't make any sense to someone, let me know. So otherwise, I'm going to move forward, because humanistic perspective is I think pretty simple in my case. Okay, so now let's come over to the behavioral side. So don't get too hung up on this. I don't care about Rotter. I really just care about this B.F. Skinner guy. Just make sure that B.F. Skinner is tied to the behavioral theory of psychology. And all this guy is saying, like I said, Rotter, I've never seen, so I don't think we'll have to worry about him. That our behavior, our actions are our personality. So, like, the things that we have learned, like the only reason that we are all different, the 35 or 36 of us that are here listening to the stream, is because of the different things that have happened to us in our lives. The only reason I am the way that I am is because of the different, as it says, patterns of behavior that have reinforced or punished the things that I have done in my life. Why did I become a teacher? Well, it's probably because whenever I helped someone out or taught them something, I got reinforcement for that. Maybe someone gave me a pat on the back or a cookie, or said, "Wow, you're slightly competent at this. You should keep doing this." And so the reason why I've become what I've become is because I've gotten reinforcement for my actions that would follow me into this. Yes, Nora, I can go over the different personality disorder clusters. Okay, so that's all you need to know. Just recognize from Skinner that the things that we have had happen to us in our lives, that is what's going to dictate our personalities. Okay, and then finally, social cognitive. Who do you need to know? You don't need to know Michelle too much. You do need to know Bandura, though. Okay. And how do I want to? Hey, Teddy. Teddy's wanting to play. How do I want to see that? How do I want to? Guys, with Bandura, just recognize, like, if you remember, Bandura was the Bobo doll experiment guy, and he's the one that we learn from watching other people. And what here, this is kind of the big sentence, the big section here, and basically what he's saying is that yes, we do learn from our environment, but also that our environment learns from us, kind of. It's like it's this term called reciprocal determinism. So basically, like, here, this is a great example. Suppose an adolescent shows his aggressive personality trait because he is mistreated by his peers. When this person expresses his aggression by way of violent acts, he can trigger either a higher level of aggression or fear inside his peers' mind, therefore changing his environment. Okay, so let's say that you have someone that is, like, really shy, and that belief of other people in that person, so that mindset that person is shy, um, is not only affected, like, we don't only affect us, but the actions that shy person does also affects our opinion. So if someone who we think is really shy does something that isn't shy, that's going to alter and change the way that we feel, and then in the same sense alter and change the way that that person reacts to us, because we might not be um, we might try to interact with that person differently if we think that, oh, they have an aspect of them that isn't shy. So just recognize that it's this idea that it kind of goes both ways, where not only is our response or the things that we do an aspect of our personality, but it's something that affects the environment, and then in response affects the way that we act. So that is reciprocal determinism. Okay. Do we need to know the personality disorders fall under each cluster? I don't think I'll ever ask you, Lori. Good question. I don't think I'll ever ask you which ones fall under where, but it's a good organizational tool that will help you remember. That'll help you remember them. So I don't think I'll ask you. I doubt it. Uh, don't be too stressed, Janelle. You've got this. You got this. Even if you're stressed, you'll be successful. You all will. You guys are going to do great. Oh, sorry, Nor. Yerkes, Dodson curve. Yes. Oh my. Yes, Daniel. I agree. Oh my. The things that we thought about Janelle, calm, under control, is slowly fading away. It is affecting not only our belief about her, but her own belief about herself. Reciprocal determinism strikes again. All right. So, unless you guys have questions, I'm going to move on. Wait, we've talked about the things that you wanted me to talk about. Oh, you want me to talk about the different personalities? I don't want to go over all the personalities disorders. Uh Okay. Just remember cluster A, odd or eccentric personalities. You got paranoid, or you got schizoid and schizotypal. Remember, paranoid is like you think that people are out to get you. Everyone is trying to hurt you. Schizoid, it's, as it says, pattern of detachment and not a lot of emotional response. It was that creepy guy at the social gathering with Mr. Monk's friends, and he just stood there. He didn't talk to anyone. He didn't want to talk to anyone. And then when people were laughing and having a good time around him, he did not respond. Schizotypal, once again, same thing, pattern of detachment or discomfort in close relationships and or around other people. So they don't like being around other people, but they're also kind of weird. They have really eccentric behaviors and often strange um, uh, you know, distortions, and that's kind of part of their eccentric behavior. Okay, cluster B. So once again, that's all cluster A, odd or eccentric personality. Cluster B, struggle to regulate emotions. They are erratic. Okay, antisocial personality disorder, lack of empathy, little regard for other people's feelings. Oftentimes, this is taken to a point where they go and they hurt other people because they just don't care about what they do to step on others. Okay, borderline personality disorder, pattern of instability and interpersonal relationships, self-image, affects, and marked impulsivity. So basically, you have these extreme emotions. Remember, why do they have these extreme emotions? Because it has helped them get what they want, and so they just don't have a lot of they don't have a spectrum of responses to things that happen. They just blow up, or they are super excited. Their emotional responses are extreme. Okay, histrionic, need to be center of attention, narcissistic, unwarranted sense of self-importance. This is don't get this mixed up with antisocial. Okay, antisocial lacks empathy. You're going to hurt people. Narcissistic is just like, I'm better than everybody else. Okay, so cluster C, anxious and fearful behavior is central. Also kind of antisocial and withdrawn. I know that kind of sounds a little bit familiar to cluster A, but there's some difference. Avoidance, guys, this is just like the person that just can't accept anyone not liking the things that they have done in and it goes so far as they won't do things because they're just so fearful of how someone else is going to respond to something that they have done. So showing other people, like let's just say that they have been painting or drawing something, and that person might be totally crippled by showing someone that painting or drawing because they can't imagine someone not liking what they did. Okay, dependent personality disorder. This is that person that just clings on to somebody, can't make any of the decisions on their own. And then finally, obsessive compulsive personality disorders, pattern of preoccupation with orderliness, perfectionism, and control. These are people that will spend hours and hours and hours doing something with no regard for how much time it would take. But it's all about that perfection. Remember, this isn't OCD. OCD is the obsession, that thing that they can't get out of their mind, and then they are compulsed to do something, which is that maladaptive behavior. People with OCPD just really like things to be perfect. Okay? All right. Whew. Did it. All right. Ooh, I'll come back. Oh, you guys said a bunch of stuff. Sorry. I will talk about I'll talk about the different therapies. I promise. Yeah, I know we didn't finish in school. Do we need to know the types of therapies used to help with types of disorders? Yes, Arian. Yes, yes, you do. 100%. Yes. Those ones that I was just like, make sure you write those down. Lori, I'll get to schools of therapy. I have to talk about the clusters because someone asked about it. Woo! Woo! All right. So here we go. All right. So let me. Oh, I'll show you Teddy. This is what's happening over here. This is often what happens when Teddy come. This is often what happens when I'm lecturing and the screen is up. Is Teddy's got a thing, and we're playing tug of war, and then I'm throwing it like 3 feet out of my room, and that's about it. Okay, so very interesting stuff. All right, schools of therapy. Boom, let's do this. Okay, so do I have to go over? I have to go over everything again. Maggie, I will tell him he's a good boy, but not because you told me to. I think you are forgetting the Mister in front of the monk there. So I'm just gonna let that comment slide, Maggie, and remind you of the test that you are taking tomorrow and the fact that I grade your test tomorrow. So just, keep that in mind. Okay, so first, psychoanalytical approach. Okay, so unconditional positive regard. All right, you got me, Lori. You got me. You got me. I do have unconditional positive regard for my boy Teddy. All the time. Maybe I need to be nicer to all of my students all the time. Maggie, I apologize if I hurt your feelings. However, RESPECT. Yeah. Carl Rogers. Okay, so let's do this. So let's talk about school of therapy. All right, so remember, psychoanalytical is the school from Sigmund Freud. Okay, so you're not going to run into a psychoanalytical therapist anymore, and if you do, run. Don't do that. You might run into a psychodynamic. I did hurt your feelings. I don't think there's really a very close lake that's too close by. Oh my gosh, Arian. Y'all. Okay, Maggie, I understand that I have hurt your feelings, and while you might be devastated, you're going to get over it really soon, especially when you make a good grade on your test tomorrow because you've been studying so hard. So it's going to all be worth it. Okay, so let's get back to it. So, Arian, you'll also be fine. Thank you, Janelle. I appreciate it. Welcome back, Misbah. Welcome back. Okay, so few things that we want to talk about with psychoanalytical perspective. So this document doesn't show a lot of the stuff that I talked about in class. So I'm going to kind of just jump through. I'm just going to jump through what I lectured on. Remember that when we are looking for when it's used, depression, personality disorders, and that's mostly it. We're not going to, like, psychoanalytical school of psychology was not used for lots of things. And that's because, as we'll find later, it wasn't. Yeah, Mahira, that's on Schoology. It's under schools of therapy. Yeah, it's under school. Let me double check. I'm like 300% sure that's up there. Yeah, it's under treatment. Yeah, treatment, and it's schools of therapy. It's the only like Microsoft Word document. It's not on a PDF file or whatever that other file is. Yeah. No, nor that's not good. If your brain was pure liquid, you would be dead. That would not be good for your health. All right, so here we go. So psychoanalytical approach. So we're going to run through a couple things. I don't have my actual school notes with me because this is my home computer. So if I forget something, can someone from first or third period holla at your boy and let me know if I missed something? So actually, let me do this. Someone from first or third period, just do the outline, the terms that I wanted to talk about, or the terms that we talked about. Oh, let me check. Hold on. I see it on my first period. While I'm looking for this, someone post the outline or the terms that I talked about for. Oh no! What is the deal? All right, hold on. Okay, I see the problem. It's on for first period, but it's not in for third and fourth for some reason. I must have. Well, that's a boo-boo. Okay, hold on. I will fix that right now. Give me half a moment. Good call, guys. Good call. Or good catch. Ugh, that's awful. That makes me mad. Okay. All right, here it comes. Incoming content. Jablam. Ooh, let's get this in the right file. My goodness. My goodness. All right, add materials. Add a file. File being added. Schools of therapy. And then third period. Okay. Cool. All right. They have been added to third and fourth period. My apologies. Good catch on finding them. Okay. First period is first in the school day. That is about it. Okay. So free association, resistance, transference. Oh, okay. Cool. Okay. There we go. Plot twist. Yes, Nor. Yeah, no, this stuff's pretty simple. Okay, so here we go. So let's start with okay, so let's start with free association. Okay, so remember, psychoanalytical theory of psychology, Sigmund Freud, unconscious mind. If we're talking about the unconscious mind, that means you're dealing with primal desires. You are dealing with your true self, and it is something that is unseen. Okay, so the entire purpose of the psychoanalytical therapy is trying to uncover your unconscious mind, because that's where all the stuff that's where all of your stuff is. Okay, so so what we are going to run into here, are you guys not seeing this on the is this not popping up? Stop. Let's try this again. Bam. Schools of therapy. Share. Okay. So, okay. So, yes. Yeah, yes, Bobby, we definitely will. Okay. Yeah, no, you weren't. I fixed the problem. Okay, so so basically what we are trying to do, the idea of free association, the idea of dream analysis and hypnosis, all three of these are ways in which we can access the unconscious mind. Okay, that's the entire purpose. Okay, so first, free association is just like, hey, you talk, and you're going to start talking about things that are important. Think of free association as like the beginning of the therapy. When you first come into Sigmund Freud office, that's what he's going to talk about. He's going to, well, not talk, he's going to let you talk. So he's going to let you talk, and work through. And remember, the idea of free association is that you will eventually get to the things that are important. Okay, I apologize. There's dogs barking in the background. This is my life. My neighbor's dogs. They are not taken care of, so they sit in the backyard and bark. Okay, um, so so eventually you start talking about the things that are important to you. However, there are some things that we avoid, and this is resistance. And so also the things that might be really deep or really dark or things that we're really not ready to talk about is resistance. Us resisting, us kind of like weaving around those conversations that are important. I kind of gave the example of you're talking to your mom or your dad, and you're telling them about your day, and you're running into some stories like what you did over the weekend. And in the story that you are telling, you realize that there's danger ahead. You're about to talk about something that you really don't want to talk about, and so you kind of like swerve off to the side to get around that conversation. And that's what resistance is. And psychologists are supposed to jump on that and be like, oh wait, why didn't you talk about that, or why did this seem to kind of like swerve off? And that's a sign that, oh, there's something there. Okay, transference, simply put, is okay, we realize now that you have an issue with something. So maybe it's your mom, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. So now the psychologist is going to say, I'm going to become that thing. And instead of you just like telling me about the issue you have with your mother, I'm going to use your mother as an example. Instead of you just telling me about your issue with your mother, I'm now your mother. So you talk to me exactly the way that you would want to talk to someone. And think of this as just role playing. Like, they do it in all the movies. Like, okay, I'm gonna, ask this person out, and so I've got to practice on my friend or whatever mumbo jumbo. That's transference. So you're kind of working your way through your issues. Okay. So then we have dream analysis. Just you guys remember dream analysis. Um, um, and the dream analysis is the manifest and latent content. Remember, manifest content, storyline of the dream. That's what you remember when you wake up. And Sigmund Freud believed that that wasn't what was really going on, that there was something latent, something deeper inside that he could uncover or manifest or whatever. And so that's what he was trying to figure out. And then finally, we have hypnosis. And if you have someone that's hypnotized, you can, find out their deep, dark inner secrets and stuff like that, because you can then access their unconscious mind. Bam, psychoanalytical theory. Word to your mother. Ha, get it? Sigmund Freud, word to your mother. It's good stuff. Okay, humanistic therapy. What else did I talk about for humanistic therapy? Make sure that you guys remember this. Helps with depression, panic disorders, personality disorders, schizophrenia light, addiction disorders, all that stuff. Make sure you know those the ones that are underlined. Don't worry about low self-esteem. Okay, so my boy Carl Rogers, Janelle's boy Carl Rogers as well. So let's talk about Carl Rogers. So Carl Rogers stormed onto the therapy scene with client-centered therapy. People beforehand were just like, all right, well, we're like helping people by, digging into their mind, and they're my patient, and I'm going to tell them what to do, and blah, blah, blah. And And Carl Rogers is like, no, man, we're on equal terms. Like, you're my pal. I'm here to help you. And so, the way that this is going to go is I'm not even going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to listen to you. You're like the best person ever, unconditional positive regard. It doesn't matter what this person is going through. You think of them in high standards. Like, you think that they're a great person. And so, you're using techniques like active listening. You are being genuine, and all of this stuff. And all of this stuff is what humanistic therapy is all about. Is trying to help people achieve their best person. They don't have a problem. They're not sick. They're not ill. They are just have some barriers that are keeping them from being the best person that they can be. Humanistic psychology. So good. So good. Carl Rogers, good man. Okay. All right. Cognitive, behavioral, rational, emotive. You guys don't need to worry about somatic therapy. Somatic therapy is really just like drugs and stuff overall, along with some other things, like some other specific types of therapy, but we're not going to need to know about that. All right, so names you need to know. Okay, so people will get confused on this. I don't harp too much on this. So cognitive behavioral therapy. So if you are taking notes, I'd be like, okay, so CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. So cognitive behavioral therapy has come from behavioral therapy, because behavioral therapy, let's be honest, it covers some really great stuff. It talks about and it helps with a lot of really good things. Oh, hold on. Did something just crash? No? Are we good? Oh, okay. It covers a lot of great stuff and helps with a lot of great stuff, but overall, it's incomplete. For most people with most disorders, yes, the behavioral side, like aversion therapy, flooding, systematic desensitization, they're great. They do awesome stuff. But there's got to be something else that's going on. There's got to be a conversation happening. And so behavioral therapy really isn't a thing on its own. It is cognitive behavioral therapy is where like behavioral school and the cognitive school are together. And Aaron Beck is the main guy here. I don't know why his name is driving me crazy. Aaron Beck. Okay. Okay. And um, so as it says, it is a form of psychotherapy, and the focus, as it says, is on problem solving, and the if you remember with cognitive is about how we process information, and that is what cognitive behavioral therapy is all about. It is helping change clients' thought patterns in order to change their response to difficult situations. So it is, you have an issue, you have a problem. How can we think of this in a different light or a different manner? How can we change the way that we think about something so that is no longer seen as a trial or tribulation? So, for students, sometimes we get wrapped up in, we've got all these tests and they're terrible. And cognitive behavioral psychologists would be like, you know what? Yeah, they're tough, but man, this is going to help you grow. Like, how about you change the way that you see these tests, and maybe you might, be more positive in the way that you approach them, and that might help you tackle these issues in a better manner. So it's all about changing your perspective and then applying those behavioral techniques, operant conditioning or classical conditioning, to help change those behaviors. So change the way you're thinking, change your behavior, both of those things, and that is how we're solving issues. Okay, that's cognitive therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy. That's Aaron Beck. Now, rational emotive therapy stems from cognitive behavioral therapy. So it'd be like cognitive behavioral therapy, and then let's do this. I'd put like bullet point, and then above it would be cognitive behavioral. Right? That's how it would look. Rational emotive being a little bullet point underneath. Okay, because that is what rational emotive therapy is all about. It was pulled together by a gentleman named Albert Ellis, and when Albert Ellis was putting this together, what he surmised, because he's still kind of in that same vein, change the way you think. The way that you're thinking isn't proper. But what he focused on was rationality. We are irrational beings. We blow things out of proportion. So I'm going to go back to that same student, to you guys who have tests coming up. Oh my gosh, if I fail this test, it's going to be the end of the world. I'm going to die. I could ask how many of you guys have done this before, and literally everyone would raise their hand, including myself. And a rational emotive behavioral therapist is going to say that that is ridiculous. Like, that is not the way the world works. And so it is, once again, changing our mindset, because that's cognitive behavioral, but more specifically, it's getting rid of those irrational thoughts. That's what's important. How many times have you walked past a group of people talking, and you're having a bad day to start with, and those people look over you, and then they turn back to their own conversation and they go hee hee hee, and they all start laughing and giggling, and then they go back to their conversation. 100% guaranteed, what is going through your mind is like, oh, those jerks, they're talking about me. Oh, they don't like my hair, or something like that. We think that the world revolves around us. It doesn't. It doesn't revolve around you. None of those people were even looking at you. Not one cared about what was going on. Literally, you just like moved in their peripheral vision, um, and then there we go. Yeah, and that's why I brought up. Okay, so guys, I am not going to try to trick you with this the difference between cognitive behavioral and rational emotive therapy, because I know it can kind of get trippy. But make sure you know the names, with Beck and cognitive behavior, and Ellis with rational emotive. Make sure that you know those names, those two, and recognize that rational emotive therapy comes from cognitive behavioral therapy. It's like a branch off of. Okay, so and then same thing. I'm sorry, you're right, Maggie. I skipped this. Okay, when it's used, okay, cognitive behavioral therapy, depression, generalized anxiety disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, panic disorders. So just take off this generalized, just write anxiety disorders, panic disorders. Because panic disorders, agoraphobia all fall under anxiety disorders. So do phobias, eating disorders, obsessive compulsive disorders. Yeah, all those things. Tons of stuff. So once again, for cognitive behavioral therapy, obsessive compulsive disorders, anxiety disorders, don't write generalized anxiety because it's generalized agoraphobia, social phobia, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and eating disorders. That's when they're most often used. Now, for rational emotive therapy, it's a little bit less. Anxiety, depression, those are kind of the main things. Okay, guilt and extreme inappropriate anger or whatever. Yeah, that's all. So remember, guys, cognitive behavioral is the umbrella, and rational emotive therapy falls underneath. And you can see that it doesn't hit as many things as cognitive behavioral. Okay. If you're a therapist, do you apply methods from all the schools, or do you focus on methods from only one? Great question, Bhavya. It depends on the therapist. Some of them will pick and choose. They will like they'll use different techniques depending on what they think is best for the situation. And you can see that there's lots of overlap. Each school of psychology thinks it has the best method for, or has a method for dealing with depression. So it's going to be completely dependent. And if you ever end up talking to a therapist, you can ask them, "Hey, what school of psychology do you like? Do you most adhere to?" And they probably would have like a favorite. So if like Mr. Monk became a psychologist, you bet your bottom dollar that I'm going to be a humanistic, like that. I want people to be the best that they can be. Rah rah rah! I'm your cheerleader. So they're all going to have their preferences in one way or another. So, and it's going to be different for each of them. So, if that answers your question, Bobia, I hope it does. Okay. I think you use what method you think works best based on. Yeah. Yes. Agreed, Janelle. Good on you. Okay. I would. I 100 would be. And you know what, Arian? I would accept people for eating pizza and not just salads. So, yep. And I would accept people who were super judgy about those people. Yep. Yes, Bobby, I had to reprint all the tests. Thank you for reminding me. Yes. Question time. I can ask a few questions. You stop. All right, here we go. You started it. You started it. Okay. You guys want to do some? We can do a few questions. I can't do too many because it might be past my bedtime. But we can get started. That's a bit excessive. Will I ever become a psychologist? I don't think so. That's a good question. I doubt it actually. Um, I really enjoy teaching, and I honestly don't think I'd be super like like when your heart's in something. I don't think my heart would ever be in working with people that like have like major problems because I don't think I don't know, that'd be hard. That'd be really hard dealing with someone that like was like legitimately hurting themselves like on a constant basis. Like I'm 100% there for someone that's dealing with something right now, but every day just dealing with people that are like, yeah, yeah. I did get that from Diaz. Yeah, Coach Diaz has lots of good lines. So I'm sure he'd be okay if I'm sure he is okay that I use them. Okay, so let's do some questions. Bam. Got some questions for you. Okay. Luke recently experienced a sudden loss of memory that resulted in his forming a new identity, traveling to a new location and beginning a new life with no memory of his previous life. Luke would most likely be diagnosed with Sigmund Freud, Mahira. Sigmund Freud. We are a dynamic duo, besties for life. Diaz and I. Did you guys get my question? Mm. Luke recently experienced a sudden loss of memory that resulted in his forming a new identity, traveling to a new location and beginning a new life with no memory of his previous life. Luke would most likely be diagnosed with yes. Luke recently experienced a sudden loss of memory that resulted in his forming a new identity, traveling to a new location and beginning a new life with no memory of his previous life. Luke would most likely be diagnosed with yes, Arian, yes. Fugue, dissociative fugue. Don't get these mixed up. Amnesia is now Luke is experiencing amnesia 100%. But if he goes to a new place and lives a new life and if they're ever talking about like him being in a different place than he was before, it is fugue. Amnesia is just going to be like, I forgot this in this period of time or whatever. But if they're like, okay, this person forgot who they were and they are now over here, that is fugue every time. Now, the person has like dissociative amnesia, dissociative fugue. It falls under amnesia, but 100% there might be a question like that on the quiz on the test tomorrow. 100%. So yeah. So be prepared. Okay. James, man, see, this is what happens. you look at these books and they're all white people names. James, Sally, let's see what else. Susie, goodness gracious. Larry. Ugh. All right. Okay, so here's the next question. There's things that you notice when you start reading through a zillion of these. Okay, James, we'll do this. James believes that he is God and that he therefore has tremendous powers. This would be an example of which characteristic of schizophrenia? What does woke mean? Like, I'm awake? I am awake. What does woke mean? Do I need to Urban Dictionary woke? I'm doing it. It is still just talking about being awake. Oh, I'm aware of current affairs. Hmm. Yes, delusions of grandeur. I don't know why I would hate you, Maggie. Unconditional positive regard, girl. You can do, even if you make mistakes. I got you. You don't know what woke me? I mean, I know about being awake. Socially aware. I got you. Thank you. Yeah, I did Urban Dictionary that. So 100% woke. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Delusions of grandeur. Fabulous, guys. Good. Okay. Okay. The process in psychoanalysis in which a patient reports on whatever thoughts, memories, or concerns come to mind is called blank. The process in psychoanalysis in which a patient reports on whatever thoughts, memories, or concerns come to mind is called blank. I'm doing this a lot today. I apologize. I gotta. Mm-hmm. Free association. Fabulous. 100% free association. Okay. In a psychoanalytical session, so this is psychoanalyst, the following dialogue demonstrates which term. Okay, so we're having a dialogue between a psychoanalyst and a patient. Okay, so the psychoanalyst over here, the doctor, psychoanalyst says, "Why don't you tell me more about your mother?" The patient then responds, "You were never there for me. Why did you do the things that you did?" What term would kind of describe that interaction? Bam, transference, good. Boom. All right. Um, okay, in certain rehabilitation centers, patients are given coupons for good behaviors that later can be used to buy desirable merchandise or acquire certain privileges. This process is referred to as token economy. Good. Token economy. Okay. Let's go back to personality. Some therapy question. Will received an F on his exam. He quickly pointed out to fellow classmates that certain exam questions were not covered on the review. Will is exhibiting which type of defense mechanism? Ooh, defense mechanisms. Okay. Will received an F on his exam. He quickly pointed out to fellow classmates that certain exam questions were not covered on the review. Will is exhibiting which type of defense mechanism? This one's a tough one. Tougher. Dang it, Will. I agree. I agree. Little punk. Mm, I don't know who hashtag Nicholson is, and I don't want you to tell me, Daniel. Yes, rationalization is correct. Not denial. We're looking at rationalization. Like it's like he's coming up with reasons why he did not succeed, and these reasons are excuses. It's not denial in the sense that he's denying things that are true. He's coming up with reasons why he was not successful, and those reasons excuse him from being um, they excuse him from being incorrect or not being smart or whatever. Um. Okay, Jane. Oh my gosh. White people. these are also the whitest names I've ever heard. Will, Susie, Jane. Oh my gosh. Okay. Jane was asked to look at a series of ambiguous pictures and describe what she saw. This would be an example of which personality test, or what type? What type of personality test? You can, if you give me the answer to both, I'll give you a thumbs up. There we go. Yeah, the Manic Apperception Test. Projective personality. Yes, projective personality test. Yes, I am bouncing a comb. I'm not sure why. Okay, projective. Yep, TAT projective test. Good, 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 good. Okay. Patient A has reported that she experiences anxiety throughout much of her day. She has no idea why she is experiencing this anxiety, and lately it has become more persistent, making it harder for her to fulfill her daily activities and routines. Sally most likely would be diagnosed with what? Patient A would most likely. Sorry, she had another white name, so I tried to skip it. The patient has reported that she experiences anxiety throughout much of her day. She has no idea why she's experiencing this anxiety, and lately it has become more persistent, making it harder for her to fulfill her daily activities and routines. This patient most likely would be diagnosed with what? Boom! GAD! What? Good. Um. Okay. Do another question from therapy. Okay, who would suggest that cognitive distortions or errors in logic that are blown out of proportion could lead to psychological disorders? What therapist? Blown out of proportions. Which psychologist would just suggest that cognitive distortions or errors in logic are blown out of proportions could lead to psychological disorders? Not Beck. Beck is the cognitive guy. Yeah, remember Albert Ellis is the guy that's just like things that are like way off, crazy, don't make any sense, irrational. That that would be your issue. So okay, cool. All right, I'm done, guys. We done. Yes, you got us on that one, Lori. You got us. Jokes on us. You knew it all along. You were just trying to trick us. Okay. Um. Oh no, here, let me do one more. Let me do one more. This guy's name is Larry. Larry was just hired by a company to develop a new marketing campaign for their product. Larry, however, has a childhood phobia of heights, and his new job requires him to work on the top floor. Which therapeutic technique would teach Larry to associate relaxation instead of fear with heights and tall buildings, slowly getting him more and more comfortable with the new heights? Last question, Janelle. Last question. This will give me time to. Hey, puppy. Come here. Yes. Come on. All right. Yes. Systematic desensitization. Good stuff. Good stuff. You guys got it. All right. You guys are going to do great on the test tomorrow. Yeah, remember, there's nothing, no old stuff. It's all the new. So you guys are going to do great. So hey, thank you very much for hopping on. I hope you guys have a good rest of the night. Make sure you guys get to bed within an hour or so, so that you are well rested for tomorrow's test. You're going to do awesome. Yes, unconditional positive regard. Carl Rogers, all that good jazz. Teddy and I think, are going to go for a bike ride, and then we are going to bed. Right, Teddy? All right, that's right. All right. Well, thanks again, guys, for hopping on. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good rest of your night, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a good one.